Welcome to the Course Reveal podcast, a subset of the Dark Zone Adventuration podcast. This is your host, Brian Gatens. We love to capture Course Reveal podcasts, and we love doing it because it gives the person at home the chance to learn about the race, which is released just after the race starts. So right now in Finland, it's roughly 8 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be 1 o'clock my time back here in the United States, 8 o'clock in Finland. The racers just started, and I have Lauri Hollo, who is the course director for the ARWS European Championships. Lauri, welcome back to the Dark Zone. Welcome back to the podcast. Great to have you here. Congratulations on the race. Be prepared to tell us all about it.
Thank you. It's great to be back here and talking about this course, what I've been doing, let's say past 2 years, which has been on my table. So now it's really cool to see all the racers going out there and race the course.
Let's go over some of the details first, some of the information for the folks at home. First things first, how many hours long is the race?
Race is roughly, winning time is 23 and a half hours, and the course is open 30 hours.
And so it's 30-hour course open. You're expecting 23 hours. So if you're listening at the start of the race, it's 8 o'clock in the morning there. I'm going to say to you, it's going to be they're going to be finishing on Sunday morning. Begin to watch those dots, watch those trackers. Thank you for sending me the race schematic. I see that we have a series we have 9 stages, plus we have a prologue. So let's go right into the beginning. Stage 1 is a 1 kilometer swim run. Where's that taking place and what should the racers expect?
Well, let's go a little bit before that. Let's go to prologue first, because on Friday, yesterday, we had prologue, which is 7 kilometers long, free order in the city of the Savonlinna, which is the city of the race crew is located. And the goal of that prologue is to get teams on a ranking list. And they're going to start now in 30 seconds interval on the first stage. So we want to make that 30 seconds starting interval based on the prologue results. So we're going to have the first stage, which is 1 kilometer swim run, so that the teams can start the swimming 30 seconds from each other's.
So last night, right, go back in time, they had the prologue, which is why on the race scheme, the prologue is I get it now. Now I understand the race scheme. The prologue is at the finish line. They did that last night. And now there's 30-second intervals. And so now the race starts 30 seconds between. How many teams do you have signed up for the race?
62.
Okay. And so 30-second intervals, roughly 30 minutes to get everybody out onto the course.
Yeah.
I noticed it's a swim run, not just a swim, not just a run. What is that part of the course like?
Well, because we are in the biggest lake of the Finland. So first is really short, 1 kilometer swim run. So the race starts in the 200 meters swimming, and then it's roughly 500 meters running, and then again 300 meters swimming. And then all the racers are in the heart of the city of Sulkava, which is our TA1 host city.
I'm assuming not very technical navigation, relatively simple. They just have to make the way from point A to point B.
Exactly. That's really simple, and that's actually marked course on the terrain. So racers know where to enter the water and everything. So that's just get racers on going to the course.
Got it. And then you get to TA1, and TA1 leads into a 23-kilometer trek. Talk to us about that.
Well, now the trekking stage, 23 kilometers. The beginning of that, the navigation is quite easy, simple trail running, but at the end of part of the stage is the same map what was used in the Finland biggest orienteering relay 22 years ago, and checkpoints 6 to 16 are navigation demanding. So now teams have to really focus about the navigation and get going on the map and the terrain.
And so that's going to get challenging right away, right? So they had the wet start, they transitioned to that. They're using a championship course previously, so navigation is really hard. And the tracking map I had a chance to look at, a lot of checkpoints close to each other, but not easy navigation on that section. So obviously they have to work really hard from the beginning.
So basically we are using, all the trekking states are using International Orienteering Federation standard maps. So maps are really detailed and really good, so they can trust the maps and just focus the navigation there. So that's why checkpoints are pretty demanding there.
And then so they get to TA2, they come off that trek. They then go to a canoe plus a trek, which is 12 kilometers long. Are they on lakes? Are they in a river? What is that terrain like for them?
So then the stage 3 this is a little bit strategic-wise, so teams can use the tactic a little bit here. So teams have only one canoe, and 2 team members has to paddle that during that stage. So first, teams paddle, 2 members paddle from TA2 directly to CP23, and 2 team members run to CP22 and then get the canoe on CP23. And those who first paddle, then they start to trekking to CP24 and trek to the TA, and the other pair take the canoe and paddle that to TA3, and that's going to be holding the river.
And so clearly there's some strategy there where the teammates have to alternate who goes in the canoe and things like that. Now, will they know about this before, or they have to figure that out along the way?
They actually knew this yesterday on the race briefing, so we went through this stage so everyone understands what they have to do in this stage. But still, there is a lot of tactics involved on this stage.
Got it. Okay. So clearly, right away, the navigation is challenging, the terrain is challenging, the teamwork is hard right away. So you've worked really hard to build clearly what is a championship course for everybody. Now, they come off that, they hit TA3, and now transition to a 41-kilometer mountain bike. What will that be like for them? So
that's actually relatively simple in terms of the navigation. So it's basically fast gravel riding, but there are a few big route choices. So, for example, CP27 to 28, they can choose which way they took. So it's going to be 15 kilometers long lake, and they have to choose which way they go around the lake to catch the CP.
Yeah, because when you look at the tracking map, and as the listeners know, when you show a tracking map, you draw a straight line from checkpoint to checkpoint, so we can understand the flow of the race. This goes right through 2 pretty big bodies of water. And so we should see some varied route choice for the teams at this point, because they have to get around those bodies of water with their bikes. So who knows what direction they're going to go? We'll see when the race starts.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I'm not sure which way is the faster right now. So I'm really looking forward also to this. So which way is the fastest way on this stage?
So a longer gravel section, a lot of route choice. They have to get around those bodies of water. Then they get into TA4, which is only a 6-kilometer trek, but it looks pretty technical. What's that like out of TA4?
So teams just come to TA4, change the running shoes, and only 6 kilometers long. But as you say, it's pretty technical and a lot of up and down hills. So it's 300 meters elevation on that stage. So a lot of up and down hill. And the later part, so last 2K is only running through the city, but first 4K is really physical in terms of the going up and down hill of those small hills what there is.
Would you call this urban orienteering?
Well, yes and no. The first part is totally in the forest, but the last 3 checkpoints are in the urban, so it's a little bit urban mixed on the forest orienteering.
Okay. So now what's interesting is the fact that you leave TA3, you have the 40 kilometer bike, you have to get around those bodies of water. You then have a pretty intense, only 6K, so 3 miles and change, but a lot of up and down you talk about. Then you're back on the bike for an 84 kilometer stage 6. What is that stage 6 bike like for everybody?
So now it's going to be nighttime when the teams are on that stage. And as all the listeners can see on the tracking stage, there are also a lot of bodies of the water there. So there are going to be a lot of route choices. And at the later part of the stage, on stage 50, team's going to get new map where all the CPs 50A to 50A is marked. So it's going to be mountain biking orienteering, and there's a lot of small trails and a lot of up and downhill again. So it's going to be nighttime mountain biking orienteering with really physical terrain, with really small trails. So it's going to be test their riding skills on the trail.
And by this point, you're saying it's nighttime, right? So they're racing well over 12, 15, 16 hours. So so fatigue is starting to set in. It feels like when they've done with this big bike, that the large bike is out of the way, right? Once they get to TA5 and they put their bike down, they have a 27 kilometer trek. They are done with the cycling. So they're pretty much home with the exception of those final stages of the race.
Yeah, that's the feeling what we want to make the racers, that they are really close to finish line, but still 3 stages go. But actually, those 3 stages, 2 of them are pretty long stages, and they are not the night time. So stage 7 is 27 kilometers long trekking. And again, navigation is on the orienteering maps, and during nighttime, that can be really tricky. And my expectations are that this is the stage where the race winners can make their moves if they can clear the trekking stage clear in terms of the navigation. So we're going to see big mistakes here in terms of the navigation. So it's going to be interesting to see next night who can clear this course without the navigation mistakes on this nighttime trekking.
Because you do say in the route book that this is a complicated Finnish championship orienteering map. And so clearly they have to be sharp right through that trekking section. And even though they're close to the finish, they're not near the finish, right? There's a difference between the two, right? They're geographically, they're getting closer. Still a lot of work to do. And after they finish that 27-kilometer trek, you then send them out for a 32-kilometer kayak. Where does that take place?
Yeah, so that place in the whole city called Savonlinna, which is our race host. And they first go around the city, and then they are heading directly to south when they're going to put the kayaks on the CP77 and go short, only 2 kilometers trekking part on the beautiful island, which is also only 100. There's only 150 meters elevation on that island, but they go directly top of that island, and then they're going to get back to kayaks and paddle back to the TA6. And this test their night navigation, because there are, as you can see on the tracking, there are hundreds of islands.
Yes.
And to navigate correct one on the middle of night when everything looks same is the big challenge. So I expect to also see a lot of navigation mistakes on this kayaking stage.
Gotcha. And because this happened all in early Saturday morning start, the final, if you're guessing 23 hours, they're going from the darkness into dawn. But even then, you're saying like moving fast, fatigued, difficult maps, a lot of route choice. To your point, this is a true championship. And then even when they're done with that kayak, they get to TA6, then they have a 9-kilometer swim run. What's that all about?
This is the last stage, but we don't want to make it easy stage. So first, actually on this stage, first CP is a rope section, when they're gonna use devices to ascend the rope and then rappel back from the cliff. And then they're gonna head to the swim run stage, where it's gonna be roughly 8 kilometers trekking and 1 kilometer swimming. So those checkpoints are located in the small islands around the city and around the city castle. So they're gonna go all around the city with trekking and swim running, and then it's finally the finish line after this, let's say 23-hour race of the winning time. But last stage can be really brutal because it's early morning. It can be cold. Water is currently roughly 17 degrees. They have wetsuit, but that can be really cold after a long racing.
So you're an experienced racer yourself, you're an experienced course director, you've done a lot of stuff. How would you rate this course in terms of difficulty of races that you've seen before?
I say this is one of the most difficult what I have seen in 24-hour race in terms of the navigation, because there are a lot of route choices and demanding navigation, and the later part of the race. So last 4 stages are pretty long in terms of times and the kilometers. So I would say that every team can make TA4 easily, but then long biking, long night trekking, long kayaking, and last swim run, that can be where the difference really happens.
It's a long course. It's a lot of fatigue on the course. And just when they're getting tired of racing, the race demands a lot more of them, right? It requires them to stay in that navigation, requires them to get back into a boat, to get back on their feet, to get back in the water. And to your point, the water is not exactly warm. We are in Finland after all, right? So the water is never really warm. And they have to finish. And so you're guessing 23 hours. I'm guessing here, sitting here talking to you, I'm guessing 25 hours will be your winner. That's my guess. I say 25, you say 23. It'll probably be 24, but we'll see what it looks like. So you have many teams coming out for this. This is the European Championship. I don't want to ask you to make predictions, but the teams that win this, the folks that win the race, what will they have to be certain to focus on no matter what? Where is there no margin for error for them?
I would say that the stage 7, the night trekking, is a place where they can't make any mistakes. Because when you are at the nighttime on the trekking in forest without the trails, everything looks same. So they have to be sharp all the time. So stage 7 is really time where they can make big difference in terms of who wins and who loses the race.
And those are a lot of checkpoints. I'm looking here. That's the first checkpoint appears to be checkpoint after TA5. It's CP 56 all the way through. It looks like CP 71. So there's a lot of checkpoints that are out there that they have to get to. And to your point, forest nighttime, it appears to be there's a lot of water. There's a lot of intense, complex navigation. Okay, so your prediction is that teams, that will be the real deciding section of the race for everyone to come through.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything about the course that, as a race director, that you want the people at home to really know about it? Areas you want them to look for, things they should pay attention to, areas that they'll find interesting?
So I would like to people first focus on stage 2, the trekking stage, because that's also really, really, really demanding on terms of the navigation, and because it's early on the race. So the pace is really high of the teams. So there can be also make big mistakes, and which can be cost the leading teams some time if they make some mistakes. So stage 2 can also say a lot of things on the later part of the race.
Right. So you're saying there that if a team has a tough time in stage 2, that stage 2, there might be such a gap between them and the other teams that they have a tough time making that up because the race is so relentless towards the middle and the end.
Yeah. And also stage 3 is really interesting in the terms of the tactics. So who paddles, who treks, and everything. So stage 3 is really interesting to see how teams going to do that. Wow.
Sounds like a great course. Once again, as you and I, when we spoke about the first time we had you on the show last time, you make it sound so appealing to come race in Finland. So I am excited for the course you put together. And for the folks who are home listening, be sure to follow those dots. Be sure to pay attention. This is the Adventure Racing World Series European Championship, and Lauri Hollo and his whole team have put together a great race. Lauri, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you to be here, and hope that everyone follows our race.